Hi guys, it's your girl Casey Paul. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video, just like the caption says, I'll be teaching you how to make this twisted Ankara dress. And if this is what you would love to learn, please stay glued to the channel. Because of the beginners who might be coming across this channel, I'll also be explaining in details the basic bodies, right? So I'm basically drafting our basic bodies, which I use 3 inches across and 3 inches below for our neckline, and for the shoulder I assumed 15, which I divided by 2, and that would give us 7.5. I just assumed the armhole line. You can measure this on your clients, and I curved our armhole. The next thing that you would see me mark in is the bust circumference, or for whatever client you're working with, in the half length, which I marked here to be 16. I am just assuming that I'm working for a small size, right? And that is me marking in the measurement. So whatever size you're working with, do what, divide your measurement by 4 and add your sewing allowance. Now I have put in the dot line for the waist, and I would go ahead to cut out this pattern and also include the dot line for the shoulder. The method I will be working with is the pivot method, depending on what you call it, and that's for the dot manipulation, the second method of manipulating your dot. And I am not working with slash and spread for this tutorial because I have already taught that in my previous tutorial, right? If you have issues with pivot method, I am teaching this particular method today so that you would be able to learn. So if you feel you did not understand, or you're not very good at it, you can also use slash and spread method. Is your choice. I folded this paper into 2 because I'll be using this pattern to draft yet another to make another tutorial, to do another tutorial. So please, your pattern must not be on fold like this. You can just draft a piece since your fabric will be on fold. So we are going to use this pattern right now to duplicate another pattern. So the pattern we are duplicating will be our new pattern, right? So like I said, we'll be using the pivot method for this tutorial, and for the pivot method, you know that you would need something that would help you. You would actually have to puncture your bust point, right? So you would need either a pencil or a compass, a pin, whatever that will help you to adjust this pattern freely, right? I usually use a compass. I couldn't lay my hand on it, so I'm using a pin. So this is me marking our first dot line, and I stopped at the part where our dot lines. I'm explaining that you can actually use whatever that will make this pattern very flexible, right? So I marked the line as to where our first dot leg stop, and then I shifted this dot, right, this paper, to the second dot line, and then I marked the line. This is our new waistline. The next thing I did is to connect this, right, to connect our side, that's our side line, and then our armhole line. At the end of the day, you're going to have a slanted kind of drafts, which is very okay because it means that you simply moved your waistline to your shoulder line. Now mark the first line of the shoulder and stop at where that stopped, and then we adjust our paper to the tip of the paper, and then mark our neckline as well as the first leg of our dot line for the shoulder, and this becomes our new dot leg. This is just like pivot method is very simple, but a lot of people don't use it. This is like how simple you can manipulate your dot using the pivot method. You can move your dot from the bust line, armhole line, whatever place your dot is seated, you move it to wherever you want it to sit. The reason I am moving this dot line to the shoulder area, or I'm manipulating it, is cause we would be needing the twist on. The twist will be sitting on our waist area, and obviously you would not want it that there. So I had to move my waist dot to my shoulder. That I hope what I'm explaining is well understood. The next thing I did was to mark where I want my dart to sit, right, which I marked as 12 inches. I assumed to be 12 12 inches, right? And I marked that. Now all I'm going to do is to divide this I'll just divide this paper into two, right? And then I will slightly slant or put in mark where I would want to slash and spread out this twist, right? I would also you can put in as many lines as possible depending on how wide you want your pattern to be. I label this A and B, right, because I'll be dividing this pattern into two. I also tried as much as possible to shift my camera angle to make sure that this is well captured, so my viewers don't get confused. This is what it looks like, and then like I said, I'll be dividing this pattern into two, right? So by the time we are done dividing this, the next thing I'll just do is to cut this out. Please let me use this opportunity to say that if this video has been helpful to you, please do like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to encourage me to keep posting out lovely videos like this. Okay, let's dive right back into this video. I'm going to set this piece aside and let's concentrate on the main piece. Now we have two pieces, and don't do what I'm about to do right now. So I slashed from the side to the center, forgetting that our where we are going to have this twist is on the center. So please slash from center to the side. That's where you want your pleat to see. Wherever you want your pleat to sit is where you'll be slashing, right? So I mistakenly slashed from the side to the center, but I'll correct that by tearing the pattern open completely. It's that simple. So the next thing I did was to cover up my dark line, as you can see. If you do not want to do that, just cut out that it's as simple as that. But because I'll be using this pattern, I might be using this pattern for yet another tutorial, I just had to cover this dark line like that. I hope that's well understood. So I'll just use paper tapes to hold this down, and also go ahead to slash the points or the openings that I've made, the lines that I've marked for our twist. So this is me marking from the center, like I said, which is the right thing to do, to the side, because the place that you'll be having the twist is the center, not the side. So you slash wherever you're having the pleats. So by the time we're done doing that, I would also correct the second piece and that I slashed at the side. So all you have to do to correct that is just to tear this open. Please do well to label at this point, because why I don't like tearing open completely is because your papers could just be misplaced very easily, right? So do well to label so you don't get confused. I label 1 2 3 4, and I'm just going to arrange this facing each other. This is what your pattern should look like at the end of the day, right? Just make sure that these patterns are facing each other, and then you introduce your fabric. Now for this tutorial, I'm going to be working with this fabric that I just introduced, and I'm making this video because when I posted a picture of that dress on one of my platforms, somebody asked for the video. So yeah, that's why I'm working with this piece and not the original piece that I worked with. All you have to do is to cut out this pattern, making sure they are properly placed and facing each other. If possible, if you know it's going to shift or you have fans or whatever distracting you, do well to pin this down so that it doesn't shift, right? And then at the end of the day, by the time you cut this out, this is what your pattern should look like. Do well to use this to duplicate yet another pattern, because this is just one side of your dress. Yes, just one side. Now, having done this, when you're duplicating the dress, make sure that it's either front facing front, like we would say back in the days. Either when I was there, now usually say front facing front or back facing back. That's when you want to duplicate the other side of a dress. So because this is just one side and we're duplicating for the second side, so yeah, this is clearly for beginners. I'm trying to explain this to beginners. So don't cut your fabric looking the same way, because it's not going to give you the contrast on the other side. Hope that explanation makes sense. So yeah, this is me trimming off all of the excess that we have, and by the time you're done doing that, we just you're done with the basic thing. This other place will not be so difficult. Now this is your armhole area, right, for one side, and the other is for the other side. All you have to do is to flip this fabric over as you would see me do. Look at that again, flip it over, and go over to your sewing machine and run a straight line to that point. Don't get to the edge of that material because you'll be inserting the other one into the other, right? I've done that quickly, and the next thing to do is just to bring in the other fabric, and then that part that you created an opening through, please do well to push it in through that opening that you created. I hope this explanation is well understood. It's not rocket science, it's just simple. Follow these procedures very well and you'll get it right exactly the way I'm doing it, and at the end of the day you're going to have a very good twist. Trust me, you're going to have a very good twist. So the next thing I did was to try arranging this and pulled out what I had put in from the opening that we had, right? I'm trying to arrange it such a way that it's going to be like it's going to sit properly, right? By the time you're done doing that, all you have to do is to go over to your sewing machine and run a line across. Yeah, that particular place I'm putting here, just go over to your sewing machine and run a line across that point. I hope that's well understood. I've done that. This is my result, and do the same thing and you're going to have a good result. Now this is our twist already properly sitting, like really pretty. The next thing to do is to arrange these very well, because you might just be joining it to a lower part. That's if you don't want it at the blouse. Next thing I did was to flip that over, and the center part would also go over to the sewing machine to join that part, right? Do the same just like you'd see me do. I'll go over to the sewing machine, join that part, and I'll come back to show you the result. I've done that, and this is what our result looks like. Pretty cute. And this is me arranging this. Like I said, if you want to make a skirtle part for this dress, obviously you have to pull out the excess below where you will be adding to the skirtle part of this dress. That was what I was trying to do in this at this point, right? If this is a blouse, just finish the edges and you will have a good twisted blouse. This is our result at the end of the day, and it's so beautiful, as you can see. Now for those who will be needing tutorial on the lower part, I'll be quick about this because our major concentration was on the twist. And yeah, this is what the lower part looks like. I'm just drafting this skirt part, and just create your skirt. I'm assuming I'm not working with any measurements. I'm just cutting this out to explain how we got the pleats and the folds that we have on the lower part. Now for this, I worked with the slash and spread method. All you have to do is remember we have 3 pieces for the skirtle part as the main base and the 2 sides, right? The 2 sides, there was pleats on this side and pleats on the other side. Check the thumbnail to understand what I'm talking about, right? So the part that I'm explaining, which actually requires more explanation, is this other side, the part that I'm showing you, right? That the part that has the lots of pleats and all of that, right? So when you cut the actual, please do this on paper. You can't do it directly on the material. Check the way the pleat is falling, right? The pleat is falling this way, like you see me, the way you're seeing me marking it on this paper, that is how those pleats fell on the dress, right? So that is why I'm slashing my line this way. Whenever you see your pleat falling, whichever way it's falling, please do well to mark your pleats that line, so that by the time you spread out this dress, it's going to fall exactly that way. I'm introducing this other paper to explain to you how to get that shape that you're seeing. Do not cut directly at the center part. Give some kind of space when you're cutting this, right? And then do well to shape that exact thing that you're seeing on the thumbnail. Now you can see it had this kind of shape, like curved kind of shape, right? So it wasn't straight, it was really kind of curved, and something like this, right? For that part, that's before you start slashing what you have, what I was trying to explain earlier, right? Before you start slashing this, that is what the center part should look. It shouldn't look straight. That's what I'm explaining. Then after giving it that kind of shape, do well to slash this open the way you would see me do. After slashing this open, next thing to do is to spread that out, right? By the time you spread that out, this is what your pattern should look like, right? It would look this way, but by the time you mark out all the lines where you've spread out, right, and pleat accordingly, you're going to have a good finished look. So I introduced this pattern to explain to you better, and this is what your pattern should look like, right? It would look this way, but by the time you mark out all the lines where you've spread out, right, and pleat accordingly, you're going to have a good finished look. So I introduced this pattern to explain to you better, and I'm trying to like curve my hand so that you will see the way you should cut it out. Most importantly, do well to mark in the lines where your pleats would sit, and at the end of the day, you should be having an effect like this. Please, if this video has been helpful to you, do well to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to encourage me to keep posting out lovely videos like this. And yes, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.